All right, guys. Well, I'm back today with another high value and budget red dot from CVLIFE. And this is a very interesting one because it's going to be sub $100 and it's also a multiple reticle design compatible with RMR cuts and an included Glock MOS plate. All of the mounting hardware and batteries are included, and for that price, that's a really good deal because I think this is the first that I've seen with a multi-reticle design sub $100, or in actually this case, after negotiating some discounts for you guys, right at about $86 to put that into perspective. Now, I've been reviewing CVLIFE dots for a while, and they do sponsor a ton of content on the channel, but I'm going to be as brutally honest as I can about every optic that comes across the board because honestly, I try to review every new optic from all of the high value and budget red dot companies to give you guys a fair and honest evaluation so you know whether to spend your hard-earned money on something like this or maybe something else fits your category a little bit better. So right off the bat, we've already discussed what's included in the box. You've got the optic, you've got the MOS adapter plate, and all of the hardware. Now, before we get too far into the review, I do want to give a huge shout out to AAC Ammo for sending over to Ammo to help make these videos. We ran a lot of 115 and some 124 grade ammo through this optic. They also have 147, which has been running really good, especially with a can, and there's always bundle opportunities, and all of the info will be over on the campsite page, so definitely check that out if you're interested at the end of this video. I'll also be putting all of the info in the description for this as well as discount info, so you may want to look at that if you're interested in this optic at the end of the video. Now, the ease of use that you swap with this multi-reticle design is pretty slick. You'll just hold down that button and you'll see that it'll actually cycle from a circle dot, or just the dot itself. Now, it's really hard to see on camera looking at the optic this close, but it's actually incredibly easy to make out that reticle system. It's got a 2 MOA dot and a 32 MOA circle, and again, you can cycle through 3 different options. Now, a lot of guys really like this, but most of the time you're going to pay well over 100 to 120, even for the high value and budget options with this feature. So it's really nice that CVLIFE is including that feature at this price point. If you go on Amazon, you'll be able to see the rankings there. Not just take my word for it, but it's 34 ratings at 4.3 stars. So on average, it's doing really well. Now, the traditional MSRP on this guy is going to be right around 130. So I negotiated that $86 discount for you guys. So you may want to take advantage of that. Again, if you do like this optic at the end of the video. One thing I want to mention is this does have the motion awake technology, which is key. I'm almost not reviewing any optics anymore unless they're really special without that. And this is really key because in a personal defense or emergency situation, when you draw, you're going to not want to fumble with buttons, and this automatically turns on and then turns off to save battery life, which is going to be good. Now, that shake awake has worked every single time. I've never had any issues with it. And because of that, you can get up to 50,000 of battery life under some of the lower brightness settings, which is on par industry standard across the board. And I've never had a single CVLIFE red dot fail me. They all just keep working. So the track record and reliability of CVLIFE on Amazon goes back years. I'm talking about they're one of the originals that I've started to see pop up on Amazon years ago. So they've got a pretty strong track record as far as Amazon optics company goes, especially in this red dot category. Now, I do love the fact that it is cut for RMR. One thing to note, though, this is going to be a little bit thicker than I like to see on some optics. But again, we are doing a lot of things in this optic. It's also a top load battery design, and there's no integrated rear sights. So when this optic blocks out your rear sights, you are without rear sights. I would like to see that just a touch lower, or at least integrate rear sights. I know that would shift the impact, but it would still give you something. Not the end of the world by any means, just something to consider on this optic. It does sit a little bit thicker than I would like to see, but it does have the top load battery compartment, which is convenient if you wanted to swap out batteries. But with that, the turrets and adjustments on here are definitely solid, robust, they're protected, they work out really well. So just overall, very easy to sight in. Honestly, this was like 99% sighted in right out of the box. It's just a lot of these optics are, when they're built from those quality factories, the better factories are going to get them pretty much dialed in, locked up, rock solid on your optics cut. And that also depends on the optics cut you're dropping them in, whether they're lined up or not. This one's on top of a dagger. It lined up perfectly, no issues there. Now, it does have a slightly bluish tint to this one, more than I usually see, but because of that, you get an insanely bright optic, and I would much rather have a little blue hue, which doesn't bother me at all, and have a bright optic than no blue hue and get a dim optic. So this gets plenty dim for night vision compatibility, and night vision compatibility is way more important on a pistol optic because you can actually throw your night vision on, draw, and engage your target that way than it is more needed on a rifle dot, because it's hard to get your night vision down on the stock and kind of look through. So that's going to be good for every single lighting condition. I want to stress that a lot. Some budget red dots do not get bright enough. This one gets insanely bright for every lighting condition you can possibly think of. Now, this seems fairly durable, but one thing to note is this does not have a very large protective hood. And I'm trying to rotate it, and you can see that lens is right up to the edge. So if you are racking this on something, I would be a little bit concerned. I'm not going to be racking the slide off of this optic. There are some optics that have protective hoods in the front that kind of go straight up and protect that, and I will rack the slide off of things with the optic. I did not do the test on this optic because this one is almost exposed. So this for me is going to be like a great range use optic. I'm going to stay away from like professional or duty use with this optic just because of how close the lens is, the thickness of this kind of obscuring those rear sights, but the fact that it's got that multi-reticle design that you can kind of shift through those different reticles and look at that for different competition style uses, and the fact that it includes all of that in the box is just going to be a great optic for you guys to grab and use for range use or competition use. But me personally, I'm going to stay away from this for like personal defense use because of a few of those things. But that's just my humble opinion. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Have you been trying out CVLIFE optics lately? There's a lot of good stuff coming out right now, and I'm really glad companies continue to innovate and push the limits of what can be done, especially with a multi-reticle designed optic for right at about 86 bucks. Thanks for watching, and again, thanks to CVLIFE for sending this out to the channel. I try to review every new thing that comes out so you guys can get a full understanding of the positives and negatives to really let you guys know which version you want to grab. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.